Welcome to Ageless by Rescu. This podcast is devoted to exploring the science of rejuvenation, uncovering the most trusted experts, the must-have products, innovations, and technology in the field of vitality, aesthetics, new beauty, and cosmetic enhancement. Amelia, hello,
Hi,
welcome to the
Bahar.
show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We were having some fun before we recorded because Amelia is in her gorgeous green, which is my favorite green, the apple green, but it's also the fresh face green.
It's our branding, so I thought I better be aligned with the branding today. Have a bit of pop of colour.
You are the pop of color. You are a pop of everything. I'm really curious because you've done what most of us, I reckon most women at some point go there in their heads and they go, you know what? I'm going to create the ultimate skincare brand. But I'm really curious, when did that moment kind of drop into your mind and then when did it actualize?
It's been an amazing journey, and in some way, it's come quite naturally to me. I think that's when the universe just aligns and you're on the right path. But I guess it started years and years ago, probably 15, 16 years ago when I worked at a pharmacy, and I naturally was always fascinated with skincare. So it's been a love of mine for whatever reason. I was fascinated from the get-go. Followed that gut instinct, studied skin because it was a fascination that came out of nowhere. And I thought, I have to learn more about this. And the more I learned about skin, I mean, it's our largest organ. It's essentially the first thing you see. I felt this deep need within me to create a simple, affordable, effective, natural skincare range. And I think the biggest focus for me and the main desire around starting my own skincare range was to bring confidence back to, I guess, your self-confidence and wearing the skin you're in, feeling good in your skin.
One of the things that I meet a lot of founders and I actually get to try a lot of products. And the thing that stood out for me, and one of the reasons I wanted to invite you on the show, is I think that we are going to go back to a very different approach to skincare. I
Mm-hmm.
think people are going to actively seek simplicity.
Mm,
We really push the dial the other way, a
mm,
million serums and layering. And I like that you promise simple skincare that really works. And I think
mm,
that that's a really great energy that you bring
mm-hmm,
to the skincare industry. But it's also a great promise because,
mm,
as you've proven with your background, you don't need a million products. You just need the right products with the right formulations. Am I
mm-hmm.
correct?
Oh, 100%. And sometimes pulling it back is more powerful than using 10 or 15 of the incorrect products for your skin. Sometimes just honing in on the right actives and pulling it back and simplifying the routine, you're going to get 10 times better the result.
And the other thing that you're very passionate about is consciously creating the brand. The brand
Mm,
has been very considered in its approach to both ingredients and also how the brand is made.
mm-hmm,
And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to ask you a question about your own skincare challenges that
mm,
kind of led you to the moment of thinking, yes, it can't just be me.
mm. So I suffered from acne. I think many young girls, teenagers going through the crazy hormone changes that we do suffer from some type of breakouts. But mine was quite severe. And looking back after my studies, especially with more of a holistic approach, which is what I do focus on, I can see it was not only hormones, but a lot of gut. But at the time, my mum wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware of that. So it took a major impact on my self-confidence. I was covering up my face with makeup constantly. I hated doing that. I hated having to leave the house just to go to the grocery store and have to put makeup on. But I didn't know where to start. Skincare is extremely saturated. It's overwhelming for consumers. And I think the upsetting thing is that when you're really suffering from a skin condition that's taking away your confidence, you want a quick fix. So you rush your decision making, and we can then make rash decisions that actually lead to further inflammation and sensitivity as a result. So I think living through my acne journey and having the sensitivity and the inflammation that I had long after the acne cleared because I made the wrong choices, with good intention, but unfortunately, that's just the skincare industry. We've got too many actives, too much to choose from, and false claims when it comes to marketing. I put so much of that experience into Fresh Face to simplify it, but to be true with what we're actually providing in terms of the ingredient listing. So no hidden synthetics, no harsh ingredients that are going to long-term strip that barrier and cause more harm than good. So it's been very intentional, but if I hadn't have gone through my own personal journeys, there's no way that I would be putting in, the effort and the love and the research that I have with the range.
Did you make a conscious decision that you were going to go down the natural path? I mean, you are a skin therapist, so you studied skin
Mm,
therapy. You had experience in a retail environment where having worked
mm-hmm,
in a pharmacy.
mm-hmm,
But when you studied cosmetology and cosmetic science,
mm.
and as you said, there are so many ingredients to choose from. How did you make the decision to go down the more natural path?
I think with my knowledge, especially when I was honing in on ingredients specifically, so many of the active ingredients that we apply to our skins are sourced naturally or originally from a plant or a fruit extract, and we go right back. And then, of course, we have to create synthetic versions because sometimes it's hard to get that natural source all of the time. But for me, I thought, why are we adding all these harmful ingredients into a formulation when the main source is from nature? You know, and back then when I started Fresh Face, there are a few natural ranges on the market that probably weren't as result driven as what they could be. They were natural, but they're a little bit more fluffy, if that makes sense, in terms of if the results it provided. So I just thought, you know what? I just felt this deep longing to go back to the basics of nature. Let's get our ingredients and raws from what nature provides without adding in the unneeded toxins and synthetic ingredients within the formulation. Let's try and bring it back and get great results while using natural, powerful ingredients. It was just this deep longing, if I'm being honest.
And it's often from deep personal longing and deep personal experience that great brands are born. And I can talk about so many founders that I've spoken to in different parts of the ageless community, whether it be in supplement care, whether it be in device, whether it be in
Mm,
developing a wellness retreat
mm,
business. It's often that they have at some point or another hit rock bottom,
mm,
or been at the coal face of other people who face adversity. And then from there, they've gone into entrepreneur mode, into innovator mode, into inventor mode, and created something that really has a lasting impact, not just on their
mm,
own wellness or well-being or
mm,
longevity,
mhm,
but also it's deeply applicable to other people that they can help. And I can really see that. And I think it's really interesting that you use that very, very personal journey to
mm,
create from. There's so much information now on acne and adult
mm,
acne being linked
mm,
to, as you said very correctly, gut health, uh, being linked to stress, being linked to
mm.
hormonal health. And whereas we used to really simplify it, what did you learn in particular about skincare formulations and how they can be harnessed to correctly treat the cause of a skin concern, whether it be acne or pigmentation or a
Mhm.
lackluster.
I think the main thing that I've pulled into Fresh Face Skin, but something I come back to constantly, is without a healthy lipid barrier profile and optimal hydration, which go hand in hand, the skin cannot function optimally, full stop. So whether it's psoriasis, dermatitis, eczema, acne, whatever it may be, an inflammatory skin condition is caused, number one, from a barrier that is disrupted and that isn't performing or isn't as healthy as what it should be. So when we look back at that lipid barrier function, which is that water and oil that essentially shields and protects our skin, if that's compromised, we have no outer protection to our environment. We have irritants, coming within the skin, causing that inflammation. We have water evaporating from the skin, so we're dehydrated. And water is one of the most important things. I often say it's lack of water within the skin, which is the first domino to fall that causes many dominoes to follow in terms of skin conditions that can follow just from lack of water content. So I think people don't realize when the barrier's compromised, we also have dehydration, and dehydration will get in the way of your cells communicating, your skin desquamating and exfoliating, that outer layer to protect the skin, that acid mantle makeup. So there's so many issues that come purely from that barrier being disrupted. And unfortunately, with overuse of actives, we're looking at many skins that have a compromised lipid barrier function and therefore are dehydrated. And then we start to see all these conditions following. And then they're putting more on their skin, with a barrier that is already compromised, that's only causing more inflammation and reactiveness. So it's this vicious cycle. But if I can go back to what you said, it would probably be just the main function of the barrier and just how important that lipid barrier is to the skin's health, and the hydration that goes hand in hand with that. Just, how much can follow just from lack of water within the skin. It's quite fascinating. So whenever I'm treating any type of skin concern, barrier is my number one focus. And very soon after we repair that barrier function, we start to see that hydration increased. We start to see a skin that's actually got some more balance and can function and heal the way it's designed to.
It's interesting you are talking so much about hydration and water because
Mm,
the hot, hot, hot topic of skincare right now is water flooding, moisture
mm,
flooding,
mm,
water-based products. And the other hot, hot, hot topic is exactly what you're working on and what your brand stands for, which is protecting the barrier function of the skin. I mean, I was literally, I was at a conference in July and I was speaking with an international scientist who was talking about the future of skincare. And he was saying categorically, we will not be talking about single ingredients in the
mm,
next 5 years. All we will talk about is, does this cream protect and repair the skin barrier? That is all we will talk about. And we will be moving away from saying, this is a vitamin A cream, this is a vitamin
mm-hmm.
C cream, this is a vitamin B cream. It will
So
all be
true.
about restoring the function of the skin because
Mm,
the skin is so intelligent, like all our other organs. If the
mm,
optimal environment is created, it can heal itself.
that's right. And 97% of Australians are dehydrated, which is a scary fact, but we are in a very harsh climate. So this is why there's so many of us with unhealthy performing skins as a result. And it purely, like you said, will always come back to that barrier and hydration support. So I think if we can get that right, and obviously work a little internally where we can as well, then we start to see a skin that is quite healthy and really healthy complexion.
And I love that this philosophy actually plays out to all skin conditions. So whether it's
Mm,
wrinkles,
mm,
dehydration, pigmentation, acne,
mm,
sensitivity, your philosophy and the protocols that you've developed as part of your skincare is actually appropriate for all of those conditions. But within your brand,
mm.
you have different systems that treat different skin conditions.
Mm. Well, I mean, lack of barrier and lack of water causes inflammation, and inflammation's a bad guy. Whether it's aging or pigment, hyperpigmentation, or whether it's eczema, psoriasis, whatever it may be, the skin's compromised if it's inflamed. So, yeah, it's very, very important to get back to basics and simplify. Let's go back to just getting that barrier healthy.
Now, separate to being a creator of skincare products, you are a businesswoman, and it's challenging. It's like it's tough, and your
Mm,
business has been running for the past 10 years. Is that correct?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So the past 10 years have probably been some of the most challenging times on the
mm-hmm,
world kind of economic stage. And I'm wondering if there was any kind of particular moment in developing your brand in functioning as an entrepreneur that
mm,
really challenged you. And I'm curious as to what kept you moving forward with kind of
mm-hmm,
passion.
mm. I think I always say to start a business, you never start a business for money. That's for starters. You start a business for passion and love. That's how it should happen. Because then, no matter what hurdles you have to go through, you'll always come back to that deep rooted passion. But for me, I mean, I'm sure many business owners out there would relate. We are control freaks, especially when you create a business from the ground up, from scratch, and you pour so much of yourself and so much of your love into creating this business and this brand with good intention. To start to hand it over to other people to ask for help can be extremely challenging. And for me, that was probably a major challenge, especially within the first 3, 4 years as the brand started to develop and grow, and I needed support. I didn't know how to even ask for help because I'd never had to rely on anyone. So I think delegation for me has been a major learning curve, and it's something that I rely on majorly now. And finding the right team, the right staff within your business that share your purpose, that share your vision and your dreams around the business, you can then learn to trust them and delegate tasks to them so that you can focus on being creative, the inventor, which is what we are naturally as businesswomen. So that's probably been the most powerful thing. Me being able to step back and, delegate tasks that other people can do to help and support me means that I can further grow the business.
And in terms of female entrepreneurship, I know that this is a really big topic for you, something you're really deeply
Mm.
passionate about. I'm wondering how your own experience as a young female entrepreneur, because you were young when you started the business, you're still young,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
and the challenges that you faced, how they now inform the decisions that you make in uh, developing your business, growing your business, partnering with people in business.
Mm-hmm. I think being a woman in business and feeling every day how empowered and just truly happy I feel content, and proud, the amount of pride that you feel being a business owner when you're delivering or working on a business from love and passion. You only want to pass it on to fellow, female entrepreneurs, that feeling. And when you, I guess, meet someone and you can feel their own passion coming through, it almost just, for me, um, makes me feel even more passionate about supporting fellow women that are trying to make their dreams a reality as well. So it's funny, it didn't happen. I didn't really, in my forefront mind, think of this when I was choosing all of my, I guess, industry, experts to help me with fresh face skin and growing the brand. But it's naturally just been a whole group of amazing women. And that just shows I must have had that deep inner attraction and feeling towards them, but they've shared very much the same passion that I have for their business. So our manufacturing team, they're women. My formulator, my chemist is a woman, so passionate. My brand designer, woman. My PR agency, a woman. My marketing team, women. It's just worked out that way, but I think it's from just a deep connection to fellow women that are trying to make their dreams a reality and are working really hard to do that and have passion.
It's interesting though, because your brand isn't targeted entirely at women. Your brand is
No.
for anyone who has skin
Yeah.
concerns. And in the packaging, in the ethos, and I would say even in the style of the formulations,
Mm,
they it's very equal and and inclusive, I would say.
yeah, it is.
The language that you use with your brand, the style of the product development. So it's interesting that, it's developed by a team of women, it's birthed by a woman and a
Mm,
team of, and yet it's got inclusivity and a conscious footprint at the very
always.
center of the brand. And you can really see it and you can really feel it. And that doesn't always happen, Amelia. So I
Mm,
have to say congratulations, because it doesn't always happen.
no.
There's always a lot of chat about that, but
Mm,
every every aspect of your brand and your products really articulate that beautifully. I want to
thank
go
you.
back to actually the brand, if we can. It's a
Hmm.
good segue.
Hmm.
Where you started is quite different to where you are now. The brand has certainly developed, and I guess, the range of products that you have has expanded. But I think your philosophy is also expanded. I'd love you to talk a little bit about the
Mm.
journey of the brand.
So initially we were three products. I mean, I am a small business, so starting out in skincare can be extremely expensive. So I put my whole passion and love into just three initial products. And the initial idea and focus around Fresh Face Skin was to create a very simple to use, effective skincare range, full stop. So we launched three main products for three different main skin conditions. So, aging and pigment and dehydration, inflammation, acne, congestion, oiliness, and then we had our impaired, sensitive, inflamed skins. And the three initial products were marketed, and we could market them as a serum and a moisturizer in one. So they each had their own range of plant-based, fruit-based actives that were designed to be delivered into those surface layers a little bit deeper, but also had an ingredient called L22, which was is a combination of jojoba, macadamia, and olive oil, which has a lot of science behind it. It's a patented blend, and it's formulated to strengthen and rebuild the lipid barrier profile back to a 22-year-old's, which was amazing. We were the first in Australia to use that, and that was extremely exciting. But because that worked on barrier and moisture levels, and we also had these key actives to work on penetration and correction in the skin and the cells themselves, working with the cells, we could market it as a serum and moisturizer. So it actually went really well. So people obviously, recognized that they wanted a simple routine. It felt uncomplicated. I guess it was more achievable to get results. And that's how we started. And we've grown since then. So starting with that simple mindset of that two-in-one product, but then starting to listen to customers' feedback. And they wanted more. They loved our products. They built trust within those products, and we could then start to slowly build the range. And we now have 13 products. So we soon after created the matching cleansers, and then we created a whole enhancer range, which does just that, enhances skin results. So I guess my philosophy's changed in way of, we started simple, but we also want to be as simple or as complicated as the consumer wants, so they can customize their routine if wanted. And they have the options to mix it up, add in, take out where they want. It gives you more flexibility, I guess. So we are growing, but we're growing mindfully. Every product that we create is with a lot of thought and feedback, and with a specific goal and skin in mind, just to make sure that we can continue to deliver to all skin needs.
But catering to sensitized and sensitive skin has always
Mm.
been core kind of attribute of
Mhm.
your brand. I'm wondering if you can give some definitions around what sensitive skin or what
Mhm.
sensitized skin. They are two different things,
Mm.
and how it occurs and why it's really, really important to deal with that first
Mhm.
before doing anything else.
So sensitive, I like to explain, is genetic. So we're often born with a compromised barrier, whether it's from mum, dad, grandparents. And this could be someone, for example, that's born with psoriasis or eczema or just reactiveness, rosacea perhaps. So a barrier that is compromised, that isn't functioning optimally, and therefore from birth, usually they have inflammation flare-ups. They're constantly, sensitive and reactive to the environment, but also topically what they apply to their skin. And by environment, I mean, windy, sun, aircon, heating, those harsh, dry conditions often cause a flare up. And they've had that since birth. Sensitized, however, is when the skin's in an inflammation response. So it's a skin that is also struggling, that lipid barrier is impaired, but it is normally due to environment or overuse of skincare. And it's basically the inflammation that occurs, that reactiveness that occurs because of that barrier being disrupted. So it's not genetically part of the skin's makeup. However, it is something that does happen from external use or external influence, and is something that actually can be strengthened and corrected in the skin. So in regards to treating both of these skin conditions, we would treat them both actually exactly the same. And again, it comes back to strengthening that lipid barrier. So that water content and that oil content within the skin, to make sure that the skin has that external invisible shield to protect it from the outside and from what's absorbed into the skin. So we would go back to blend of oils. So, really natural light blend of oils that are anti-inflammatory, easily recognized by the skin. So for example, that L22 ingredient, I love the fact that that has science behind it. So it's not just an oil that works on calming inflammation and nourishing, but it actually has a lot of science, a lot of trials and tests behind it that prove that we can strengthen and rebuild that lipid barrier profile to a 22-year-old, which is quite amazing. So just by using that jojoba, macadamia, olive oil blend, we're able to get that barrier nice and healthy so that it's able to protect, but also keep that water content within the skin. I then look at bringing in hyaluronic acid, a high quality hyaluronic acid, perhaps some vitamin B3, so some niacinamide. We've got a hydration booster that combines that niacinamide two types of hyaluronic acid. So we're working a little bit more superficially and deeper within the hydration of the skin, and some really soft, calming, but also antioxidant based plants. So plant extracts to calm inflammation, but also strengthen and protect the cells. So I'd focus on a really hydrating, calming, anti-inflammatory serum like the Hydration Booster, and bringing in a beautiful blend of oils so that we're working on water and oil content to begin. And it really is bringing everything back. So simplifying that routine big time so that we can just focus on water and oil alone without causing too much disruption to a skin that's already impaired and inflamed. So if we were to go in with any actives such as vitamin C, vitamin A, the skin's only going to come back at us angry and inflamed. So it's all about hydration and oil alone.
I'm curious as to what your stance is on double cleansing. I've seen you talk about it before, and I think
Yeah.
you it's a great one for you to share because it goes back to the skin barrier, skin
Mhm.
microbiome,
Mhm.
reestablishing a very safe level, healthy base to start your active ingredients from. And I'd love for you to share your
Mhm.
kind of philosophy and protocol around double cleansing.
I guess it all comes down to the cleanser. Let's just get that clear. If we're double cleansing with a salicylic acid based cleanser or a benzoyl peroxide cleanser or a harsh glycolic for a dry skin, then that's a no no. But when you find the right cleanser, and by right, I mean something that's going to cleanse the skin without stripping it of its natural oils, I often, have feedback from a lot of clients and customers saying, "Oh, this cleanser leaves my skin feeling nourished, but it doesn't feel clean." And I said, "What does clean mean to you?" "Oh, it doesn't feel like squeaky clean, like tight, you know?" No, 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 that's bad, bad, bad. So we need to change that mindset to begin. We need to cleanse our skin using ingredients that are going to nourish and cleanse the skin of impurities and bacteria. So that dirt buildup, oil buildup, bacteria, without leaving it feeling squeaky clean, which essentially means it's stripped of those natural oils. And we then start to see that barrier compromise long term. But once we find the right cleanser, then it's really important to double cleanse, mainly at night time, I say. So in the morning, one cleanse is usually fine. We have a little bit of sweat, a little bit of oil while we sleep. Cleansing the skin is important in the morning because we want to set that landscape for your product application. But at night time, think about what you apply to your skin in the morning that's sitting on the skin all day. So whether it's your skincare and SPF even, SPF, zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, they can be really hard to cut through in just one cleanse. And then, of course, you've got makeup as well. So cleansing the skin more so of, I guess, build up in regards to product build up. And maybe perhaps a little bit of excess oil or dirt, and then going in with your second cleanse to cleanse the skin. And we've removed that outer layer, so the cleanser actually has the ability to penetrate into the skin, and you're actually going to get some of the benefits of those properties. So, the actual actives that are in that cleanser, you're actually going to start to see the benefits topically to the skin as well.
I'm curious as to now that you've expanded your skincare range to the 13 products, what you believe are the key pillars to a good skincare brand, because you've created a brand, and what are the hero pillars, not just hero products, but the hero pillars that are available in Fresh Face? Because I think that's really interesting from all your research and also your customer feedback. You've gone
Mm,
from 3 to 13. You
mm,
haven't done it from a marketing perspective. You've done it
no,
from a need and a research perspective. So I'm
mm.
curious as what these pillars, what the hero pillars now are for you.
I think number one, starting a business, like I said earlier, from passion, you always come back to your passion. So if you have true passion for something, no matter what is going on challenging within the business, the hurdles that you have to go through, you're going to come back to that passion and purpose, and it's going to keep you motivated and it's going to keep you going. And I truly believe, looking back on the journey, and I was sharing to my family and friends, I'm going to start this skincare range. Everyone looked at me like I had five heads. Why would you want to start a skincare range? It's saturated. But for me, I felt a deep need. I felt there was a need to bring trust and honesty back to skincare, to bring simplicity back to skincare, and to do right by the skin, not just in the moment, but long term when it comes to the natural ingredients, but also that barrier support. So I feel like once you have your research and your deep need and passion, you always come back to that because, you can develop a skincare range and not be successful because, there's nothing that stands out about it. But if you put a lot of time and energy and thought into what you're doing and you listen to your customers and make sure that the choices that you're making along the way are correct, and they are going to be received well. So that communication with your customers is extremely important. They are the reason you are successful. Never forget that. Then you have a successful business, and of course, hard work is constant within a business and being a business owner. But again, if you have that passion, sometimes it doesn't feel like hard work, it's just another day, but it's a day doing what you actually love and you're building towards the vision and purpose that you.
And the vision is so clearly articulated. Simple skincare, real results is your kind of motto. And I'm wondering how that came about because now you've explained the kind of the pillars that led you to creating the business and the guiding force of the business. But how do you, when you're selecting new launches, when you're formulating and you're
Mm-hmm.
choosing new ingredients, how does this motto affect your choices when developing fresh face skincare products? How
Mm-hmm.
does it guide your business as a principle?
Well, obviously, initially it was because there was just three products, so and it was a focus to be simple. But it's still something that I consciously think about every time we bring on a new product and launch a new product within the skincare range, because it is part of what we're now known for, being simple, and when I say simple, it doesn't have to just be simple use. It could be just simple guidelines or simple formulations, simple ingredient listings, easy to understand on the website. There's not a lot of jargon. We're pretty straightforward with our approach and we're very honest, So every time I bring out a new product, it's okay, how can I make this product simple to use for that skin condition? So they don't have to use, four of the other products. They could cleanse and just use this and still get benefits. So it comes back to, the ingredient listing being, ceramide rich, so that barrier support, whether it is the L22 combination or using other plant-based ceramides to nourish the skin, but then working with the power of plants to change and evolve those cells and getting them really healthy and protected so that we start to see some real changes within the skin with also seeing that hydration and that nourishment come through, which often starts to show, lack of inflammation, more dewiness, more better texture. So I think it's more so just every product, if this was the only product someone was going to use within our routine, would they benefit? That's probably what my thought process is every time I formulate.
I think that's such a great way to go down that path. You mentioned before your relationship with your cosmetic chemist, who's also a
Mm,
female. And I think for every great skincare brand, the cosmetic chemist is obviously key. The founder has the vision
mm-hmm,
and the innovation, and also, I would say, the magic,
mm-hmm,
but the formula, the potion is really in the hands of a chemist. And without that beautiful relationship between founder, entrepreneur, and chemist, the magic doesn't happen. And
mm-hmm,
beauty is, if nothing else, alchemy. I've said this before,
mm-hmm,
I do believe that creators of skincare brands create potions and create magical things. So I'm
mm-hmm.
curious as to how you found your cosmetic chemist, how you guys work together, what the secret sauce is to that relationship.
Yeah. So initially, obviously, I'm going to start a skincare range. Where do you even start? But I did meet up with numerous formulators that specialised in natural skincare formulation, and I just waited till I had a gut instinct. Call me old fashioned, but that's what I rely on throughout most of my business. Being an entrepreneur, I focus on how I feel about whether it's people or what I'm bringing into the brand. And I came back to that gut intention of my own, and we connected straight away. She understood what I wanted in terms of those initial three products. She was excited. She hadn't done anything like that before. She was extremely passionate. She had a wealth of knowledge. She constantly goes to seminars to further educate herself on new ingredients that are coming into Australia, new combinations of ingredients. And you can feel passion. When someone's passionate about something, you can sense it a mile away. So I guess I resonated with her passion, and it's just been a wonderful relationship. She's still my formulator. She'll be my formulator forever, I hope, because we adore each other. And, I'll share with her how I want it to feel, how I want it to smell, the key ingredients I would like to see in it, and for what reasons, because ingredients are what get me excited, and for what skin this will specifically be for. And she will then create her magic. So she makes sure that it's pH balanced, that those combination of ingredients can be combined together and work effectively within the skin. It can absorb into the skin. It has a preservative, that gives it shelf life. So she does, I guess, all the smart science stuff while I like you said, I guess I just put the magic in there. I give her, my goals, my vision, and she brings it to life. It's actually quite an amazing thing. It's a beautiful relationship.
It is only ever a successful brand if it is a beautiful relationship. And again, I meet a lot of people and I try a lot of products, and when the founder is as you have been, which I really appreciate too, because it shows your I guess transparency and generosity of
Mm,
spirit. When the founder goes, I work with an amazing cosmetic chemist.
mm,
It's this partnership that allows me to bring this brand to life, rather than founders who pretend that they're cosmetic
mm,
chemists, and there's plenty of those as well.
mm,
And you see that a lot, particularly in, I would say, some of the professional spaces where you go, well, you're not a cosmetic chemist. You might be a doctor, but you're not a cosmetic chemist.
mm.
Who
So there's someone
formulated your
helping you.
brand? Well, who formulated your brand? Because
Yeah.
you've got a different skill set, right? So I do really appreciate that. I'm wondering, when it came to making a decision between synthetic ingredients
Mm,
and all natural ingredients, where the two of you kind of landed on the direction for fresh face skin,
hmm
and if it's a hard and fast rule that it's only ever natural ingredients, or if it's based on what is going to be the most effective,
hmm
guided by the philosophy that our preference is natural first.
Totally agree with you there, because sometimes it's impossible to actually create an effective formulation. Sometimes, depending on the ingredients that we put into our formulations, that is literally 100% natural. You can have a composition that is very or near identical to nature, you know, and it may be sustainable in the way that it's created as well, but we can't always literally take an extract from a plant and put it into a formulation. So I totally agree with you there. And I think it's that trust that I have with her. She's extremely transparent with me when we're talking about formulations and the results that I want to achieve, as to how we're going to achieve them and what's realistic. So I'm extremely guided by her experience and her expertise. It definitely helps her being a formulator that does focus on natural formulations within the cosmetic industry. So that definitely helps, because that is her studies. That's what she focuses on. But I agree with you. It can be tricky, because there's definitely going to be times, especially when we work with vitamins, they, of course, naturally come from a plant, but we can't always get that exact identical extract. And I'm open to that. And we're very transparent to those that we've had to, it's a nature identical ingredient, and it's sustainable in the way it's created, but we're very open with what ingredients or vitamins they are within our skincare on our website. But I think the main purpose in regards to, being natural, when I launched Fresh Face, there wasn't a whole lot of 100% natural skincare ranges that were actually quite effective and result driven. So the need is still there for me, because for me, what I apply to my skin topically, I would want to, you should be able to eat it. That's how I feel anyway, when I treat my own skin.
And your
And I,
skin is absolutely beautiful. Like,
oh,
it's,
thank you.
you're walking your talk. Yeah,
Thanks,
Amelia.
Bahar. But it's just one of those things. I think you all know the skin's the largest organ. It's already exposed to toxins and harmful environments daily that we can't get away from. I We can't be perfect either. This is a world that is full of nasties externally within our environment and our atmosphere. But what we can do is make small choices along the way that long term may have a more positive effect on our health overall. And essentially, I guess what you apply to your skin is absorbed into the blood. We have to remember that. So, just trying to make good choices where you can, for more of not so much the skin, but the whole body's health long term. It's really important to me anyway, and that's what I project in our brand.
Amelia, to wrap it up, I want to ask you something that I would love your guidance on. And I think this applies not just to Fresh Face Skin, but other brands. How do we shop correctly? And
Mm,
how do we shop fresh face correctly? For example, there's acne and there's acne. There's rosacea
mm,
and there's redness.
mm.
And then there's the products that are available. Do you have a rule of thumb or some resources on your website that you would direct us to that are going to help us make a great, informed, safe decision when we're shopping for skincare ourselves without going to a cosmetic counter or to a beauty therapist to make the selection for us?
So, what I found in my own personal experience was when you read an ingredient listing, okay, it's very hard to sort of dissect even what's natural within it because some of the real natural words look like they're chemicals. And they are actually a natural ingredient. So when you just see on the back of a bottle or on a website an ingredient listing, but it doesn't break down those actives, I find that can be quite confusing. So what we've done on Fresh Face Skin is we have nature benefits under every single product so that you can actually dissect every single key plant or fruit-based active and work out exactly what that's going to do for your skin. So that's a really easy way to sort of understand the ingredients and the formulation. But I think number one, going back to basics, as I've said 20 times today in regards to barrier and hydration, we have a Hydrate Me starter pack, and the starter pack is called a starter pack because it's focusing on barrier. It's focusing on hydration, those two key components to make sure that your skin can function optimally. Once we get those hydration levels up and we get that lipid barrier profile nice and healthy, we can then start to add some enhancers into your routine to start to mix it up a little bit and correct whatever concerns are still coming through once that barrier is settled and it's stronger. When the barrier is impaired, we don't see the skin in its true state. So we do need to calm down the inflammation, strengthen the skin and hydrate it before we start to see the skin in its actual true condition, and then we can start to correct. We do have a skin quiz online too, and I have a skin clinic in Melbourne, and we also have live skin consults that you can book in for as well that are 100% redeemable. They're online. So that's a really nice, intimate way to get a customized routine and speak to a professional face-to-face as well.
That's so helpful and actually super transparent. I really appreciate that guidance. And the other thing I was going to say for anyone who's listening or watching this episode, Amelia records really useful social media content with some great tips and advice. And I would urge you to follow you, Amelia, because it's a great account and it is super useful. And if you're inspired to learn more about skin function, skin barrier function, acne, double cleansing, some of the topics that we've talked about today, and also ingredients, definitely the Fresh Face Skin account on Instagram is a great resource. And of course, I will have the links to both your website and your social media account with the show notes. But I want to thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to have you. Um, we have been meaning to talk to each other uh, throughout the end of this year, and I'm so pleased that it worked out. It was
Thank you
really a
so
joy to
much
meet
for
you.
having me.